This is CXM Radio, the voice of customer experience professionals.
Welcome to the Delighted Customers Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Slayton, and I'm so glad you're here. I talk to guests with a wide range of expertise who share meaningful insights and wisdom. We give you practical tips, proven frameworks, and share ways to help you delight your customers. Well, I am so excited to have my guest on the show today, Brittany Knox from Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan. And we are here at the Michigan State University's Hotel and Conference Center at a CXM 360 conference. And I'm so excited. I grabbed her between sessions to talk about her because for a couple of reasons, but one of which is that she is in the inaugural charter cohort of students who were enrolled in the first ever Michigan State University Masters of Science in Customer Experience Management program. So we're going to talk about that. But she comes to the show from Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan. So we're going to talk about her role there, why she chose this program, and get to know her a little bit. So First of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yes. Exciting. So tell me first about what got you interested in going to the field of customer experience.
So believe it or not, I sort of fell into it. I've always been in the healthcare space. I did research in autism and asthma prevention for youth.
Okay.
And so, and then I studied, at a school that was, world renowned for healthcare. So
Where did you study?
Johns Hopkins.
Oh, yes.
And
my old roots down in Baltimore, Maryland. Yeah.
Yeah. So my lens comes from that healthcare perspective, but then really having a deepening understanding of those impacted by it, right?
Yeah.
And their lifestyles and sort of things that they need to better manage some of the things that they're dealing with health-wise.
Yes.
And so with that research background experience, I found my way over to Blue Cross, more for an analytical type role, but what piqued my interest in, customer experience was that we were looking at the data and trying to understand how to make sure the process and just like the products and the work that or the things that we do for our members, really align with their need.
Okay.
And so that was taking a look at, on the health payer side at Blue Cross, we really help the members kind of navigate their care. They have to go see a doctor, but they need to have benefits to do it.
Right.
And so what customer experience comes in is making sure that they get the best service, when they're engaging with us, and even sometimes when they're, even down to how they engage with their providers.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was really, interested in making sure that people that don't understand healthcare and kind of get lost in the process.
Yeah.
The company that I'm part of is making sure that we're able to help them along the way so they don't really get, too confused on how to navigate within, different health systems or clinics or whatnot.
Right.
So that's what piqued my interest. And again, like I said, with that analytical background, it kind of measured up with what the company needed at that time for me to kind of come in and work. Now is the company the department I'm in is focused, it's both marketing and customer experience.
Okay.
And sort of on a personal note, I've always had a really big interest in marketing. Okay. I studied a little bit of it at Hopkins while I was there as well.
Okay.
And so I was interested in seeing how through customer experience, we're helping the company deliver on a promise that we make to our members.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So is it fair to say that you kind of have a research background?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't. My name is on a couple of articles, but
okay.
That's out of the support that I did for running the research studies that took place.
Yeah. But that's sort of your pedigree is you came up with analytics and research and then you evolved over, but you had an interest in marketing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an interesting combination.
It is.
And so how did you end up Blue Cross Blue Shield, did you come right out of college and go to Blue Cross Blue Shield? Did you have a stop along the way?
I spent a few years in research.
Okay.
So working for Hopkins and then Henry Ford Health System as well in their public health department.
Okay.
And so did that for quite some time before I navigated over to Blue Cross.
Okay.
Yep.
Excellent. So in the role that you're in now, what are some of the biggest challenges that you've been addressing? And how have you approached those challenges?
Yeah, just really just helping our members, understand how to use their benefits. That's it's an ongoing thing. And so just making sure that what we do, with our processes are aligning with them getting the information they need and when they need it.
Yeah. Well, I know anybody who's had to deal with health insurance, whether it's your brand or any other brand, it's really tough.
It's complicated.
My mom is 85 and she's a widow. And she had a car accident recently and she got injured, cut up her legs below the knees pretty bad. And, she had $500,000 in insurance bills, probably 200,000 right after it happened. And then she got infected in those lacerations and a month later spent 10 more days. And you can imagine some lady cut in front of her. So then we have the whole autos. So it's just a maze. And there's I'm not going to say no way, but it'd be extremely hard for an 85-year-old person, especially from that generation, to try and navigate the amount of paperwork and the amount of complexity involved in that. So when you say there's an opportunity, for sure, there's an opportunity. Yeah. And so, what are some of the interesting projects that you've worked on to help make it just a little bit easier for us?
Not sure I can really go into detail about the project, but we have a ton of tools out there that kind of comes out of my area, which is our digital tools, like our member portal and the mobile app. That is actually award-winning. It's really cool. That means that we are, being recognized by other people in the space that build apps. Essentially, our app is one that help our members kind of navigate how to use their benefits or even just understanding what benefits are available to them. And if they need to contact us, there's different ways and that can actually reach out to us through that app. Like they can chat with us, or they want to call, they can always pick up and call the customer service as well. Yeah.
Okay.
But that's some work that has come out of the area that I sit in and support as well. Yeah.
Okay. And is that an ongoing evolution of iterations of how the apps work and so forth?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So walk me through just what you collect data for feedback on user experience and this. Okay. We need to change this.
Yeah, because we do look at the pain points and see where, there's a lot of member frustration and things that they just are not happy with.
Okay.
And making sure that we, take a step back and understanding how that happened and what can we do to improve it.
Okay.
Yep.
And how do you listen to customers in that regard so you can start?
We literally listen. Sometimes we do have the opportunities to kind of listen into some of the calls themselves, just so that we can have some sort of empathy and understand, just firsthand what this person is going through.
Okay. And then somebody tells that story, right?
Well, that really personifies the story because the data sometimes can be so black and white. But when you actually listen to that person and you hear what frustrations they've dealt with, then you can put the data and the what you heard together and think about how that translates into what we're delivering for them.
Okay.
So we're thinking of the people, as actual people, not just numbers or just, it's really, thinking of them as even someone within our family or someone that we, would want to look out and make sure that they're able to get what they need if they're in some sort of, health crisis or situation that is impacting their lives. So it really helps us connect more. Yep.
So the benefit of listening, and for those, this is a audio only broadcast. So you didn't see Brittany, she held her hands up like as if there was a headset on and people were listening in on a conversation that a customer had. And I remember at the bank I worked at, we had something called executive listening. And we had probably 70 people from the C-suite and the other leadership members go and sit in the call center and put a second pair of headset on while the customer service rep was talking. And so they could hear firsthand, not only hear firsthand, I don't know if this is the case in where you are, but they could hear the customer's issues and both the good, the bad, and things that need to be changed, but also the challenges for the employees, right?
Absolutely.
Because we had 7 different systems.
That they have to go through just to understand.
To get an answer for the customer, right?
Yeah.
So tell us about like cluing into the employee experience.
Right.
Is that something that,
I mean, that's a foundation to being able to deliver the best experience to the member, the person on the other end of the, because if the employee is struggling or just not struggling, but have to navigate through a lot of different systems to get the answer, that member is going to think that they don't really know, or they can't really help them, or maybe they don't have time, like they're going to go down maybe a path we don't want them to go.
Right.
And so we have to make sure, kind of what I was touching on, like our processes, are also in alignment with how we want the member to feel on the other end. So if we make it so complicated within the company to just get the member what they need, that frustration will carry over. So we can give the service team, the right tools to have a pretty seamless conversation, then the member's going to feel that, and they're going to feel like, you know what, if I call them, they got what I need when I needed it.
Right.
And I didn't have to wait forever to figure this out. Or they understood me, when I called in, and I had to go through all of these hoops to kind of get them to just feel where I was coming from. So that's really important.
And it can often happen in a very, like they're an emotional time of their life.
Yeah.
Things that are
very emotional. Yeah.
So, one of the things I was thinking about, we just talked about like how to listen, how to collect data and information and identify pain points and opportunities. Then things need to change.
Sure.
And I think if you're on the outside listening in, you might think, well, okay, now you know that, just change it. Just get it done.
It's not that simple.
So talk about like, what broadly, without giving any company secret, but broadly, what things need to be brought together to make that change happen?
Just looking at the whole picture.
And
it's not just that one, even if it's just one instance that may have went wrong. It may be connected to several other things that led to that moment. And so that's what I mean by just looking at the whole picture.
Yeah.
More holistically.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that, speaking of what you just said, is let's go back and dig out what the root cause is.
Right.
Going back and finding out.
Truly understanding what the problem is.
So if you had to make a change on a mobile capability, you have to bring in multiple players or cross-functionally to solve that. Is that right? So like, I don't know about where you were, but we had the tech folks. We might have had risk, IT security involved in that, marketing, obviously, are there multiple departments and you have to, like, how does that?
At times, there is.
Okay.
At times. For the most part, we do kind of manage the digital tools within our department.
Okay.
But there are times where we do need to connect with other areas to get that done. And it's just about keeping those, partnerships strong within the company. And making sure, keeping people informed on the need, why we have to make these changes, maybe suddenly or somewhat out of the blue, I guess, unexpectedly, but it's all to make sure that we deliver, the best experience. We do have instances where like technology does not always work. It sometimes fails us. And so we have instances where we jump in, or the teams that work on it need to jump in, for a critical fix. And it's like an understanding across the organization that this is directly impacting our member. We have to pivot right now to support that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us about, we talked about different areas, and I know in the program here, there's 6 major categories of areas of customer experience management that, there are courses on, but what attracted you to the program to begin with?
So for me, I've been learning about customer experience based on my actual experience, right? In the workplace.
Yeah.
I wanted to learn more of the, because I'm analytical research type brain, I wanted to go back and understand the foundations of customer experience.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to connect the experience, to more of the, research and findings and understandings of how these things take place. I think in general, it just would help me when I, approach a certain problem or task within the work that I don't know, because I kind of did some background work on these different things. Now I know how to approach it the appropriate way to make a change. So for instance, right now I'm in our class is change management. This is organizational development and change management. That's the current course that I'm in now. And there's lots of change happening with customer experience, but what's the right way to go about doing it? How do you really get people on board with it, especially when they're so used to doing things a certain way? And so being part of the CXM program is really breaking down that whole process of understanding, like how people react to change, some levers that you might need to pull to impact the change. This is just things nobody would have ever told me. Mm-hmm. And if I would have continued to work in this field, I would have eventually figured it out. But
yeah, the hard way.
But yeah, exactly.
School of hard knocks.
The hard
no
way.
pun on your name.
No, but truthfully, the hard way.
Yes,
and so now I'm kind of getting all I need served up right to me. And so I could take that experience and take this, information that I'm learning from the program, put that together. And now I can move a little bit more faster, more confidently when it comes to helping my organization solve some of these problems and solve them the right way.
Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that because people miss the fact that our role as CX leaders is cultural transformation.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to do that, change management has to be the role, the mechanism by which we do that.
Right.
And yet, until what you just described, there's really not a whole lot of change management training or lessons or studying.
It's taught,
that is taught to prepare people for that. And
it was
I know,
a trial by fire. That's what I hear all the time. Like, people just go for it and hopefully it works out. And I've been that type. I'm very, I'm okay with taking risks.
Right.
I'm okay with that.
Right.
Because I would like to grow.
Right.
And learning. How else do you grow and learn? But then you can also just, sign up for the CXM program. And have someone who knows, share it with you in a way that you can internalize it and connect it and apply it.
Yeah. For someone who's been through the school the hard way and how many mistakes I made and wish I had known about a course like this a decade ago.
Yeah.
What a great tool, because it really isn't something we spend a lot of time talking about, but the issue is the potholes you can step in,
mm-hmm.
right? They're often relational potholes,
mm-hmm.
right? Because you left somebody out, for example, of a conversation they need to be included in. And, that's a mending that needs to happen,
mm-hmm.
Where it's not just like a thing you can just redo, and so, human beings are complex.
Yep.
And change management requires a lot. And you used the word before, competing priorities. There's always competing priorities.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you make the change you need to happen that will ultimately serve the customers, right?
The most valuable change.
Yeah. Well, from our standpoint, it certainly is. It certainly is.
It is. Yeah, it totally is. I mean, at this point, I'm 100% convinced that if your company is not caring or taking an active interest in understanding their customers' experience, how what you deliver to them impacts them or serves them or does not serve them, then you might be living under a rock, because the world that we live in today, like you said, we're human beings. We're very complex. We have different needs at different times. We change our minds when we feel like it. And we do expect the companies we engage with to look at us as human, as people, and understand us and create something for us. And so how else do companies do that? I haven't seen it yet outside of focusing on that customer experience. How else would you do it?
Well, Well, it's a great question. And there are sadly, there are a lot of organizations that don't start with the customer.
That don't, right.
In what they design. And maybe it's because they had a product that was unique originally, or they knew everybody they dealt with. And then the organization grew, it scaled, and now there's silos and departments. And so they're trying to figure out why they have runoff, client account runoff, client runoff, or they have, attrition, or they have frustrated employees. And they haven't really done what you talked about, which is listen. Mm-hmm. Start with listening to the customers and really understanding what they're going. Say more about it. Yeah.
Say more?
Yeah.
Listen.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing about people is they're going to tell you, what they like and what they don't like. Some are more vocal than others, but they're going to tell you. And if they don't tell you, you can almost see it. You can see it by the walls that they keep running into when things go. And so you listen, but then you also have to pay attention in the sense of tracking that and synthesizing that and turning that into something that can be actionable, like an actionable improvement. So that whatever you want to deliver, whatever experience you want your customers to have, you're actually meeting that. And I think that's what marries the two between marketing and customer experience. This is the promise I make. This is what I hope to achieve, or this is what I would like you to achieve if you engage with me. And then it's like the tip, it's like, but the iceberg is the promise, and then it's everything under, that delivers on what that promise is. And that's your experience focus there.
I was making the brand what we're going to give you, and a customer is just delivering.
But I know there's several different avenues into customer experience, which is what I'm also learning from being in the CXM program. It's not just one. Just not just one connection there between just, getting in customer experience. There's many other ways. Yeah.
Sounds like you're enjoying the program so far.
I have been enjoying it. Yep. Learning a lot.
How do you manage full-time work and going to a master's degree program?
I don't know. I have no idea how I manage it. And sometimes I don't think about it. I just, do what I can and do what I need to do at that time.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Because it's important to me. And then at the same time, the program is directly supporting what I do every day at work. So there's a lot of value in showing up for class. There's a lot of value in taking the assignments very seriously, because what I'm doing in class, I can turn around the very next day at work and have, a more impactful conversation with those who are making the changes across the organization. And then even those who are making the changes are now more open to talking to me and sharing their experiences. And I can use that as I continue to grow and evolve in this field.
First.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Okay.
And if any of our listeners would like to check in with you to learn more about, what you do at work, but also anything more about the program, and they may have an interest, what would be a good way for them to get in contact with
LinkedIn.
Hey, LinkedIn.
You can find me, Brittany Knox.
Brittany Knox.
You'll see it. It'll say Brittany Knox, Blue Cross. That's me.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
All right. Thank you, Mark. This was great.
All right. Well, thanks for listening to the Delighted Customers podcast. I want to ask you to do two things. If you've enjoyed this episode or any of my other ones, hit subscribe. I've got a lot of other great guests that are coming up and a lot of other great content, and I don't want you to miss anything. And if you've gotten something out of this, share it with someone. Make sure they have access to all this content and all the other great content coming up. You can find any links or references on the show in the show notes, and you can find those on my website at empoweredcx.com.
Thanks for joining us for this session of CX of M Radio. Be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the show, and visit cxofm.org for more resources.